God was protecting you, then why did the abuse happen? And I was like, wow, God, like, this is so orchestrated. I should not be the person that I am today. I should be a completely different person. And it is only by God alone. Hi, today is going to be a little bit different. I am going to share my testimony with you guys today. We're going to do a half and half. I'm going to be face to face with you guys a little bit, and then also going to be doing homemaking in between. It was a tie on the voting that you guys voted on how you want to hear my testimony. So I am going to incorporate both of them together. So whether you just want to listen or watch, you're going to get both of them. Now, to be honest, I wanted to wait to share my testimony until further along in my YouTube journey because I wanted to get my testimony out to everyone. But then recently I felt the Lord prompting me to share it, because even if one person hears my testimony and it helps them draw closer to the Lord, then that, like, I did what I needed to do. I am excited to share this with you, but also nervous. And I feel like for several years now, the Lord has been yelling, share your testimony. And in the beginning, I was really nervous. I didn't want to. I was quite frankly embarrassed of my testimony because it is kind of heavy, but the testimony isn't about me. It's about glorifying the Lord and what He's done in my life. And so why shouldn't I share my testimony, even if it seems embarrassing to me, which I don't feel embarrassed of it anymore, but it's to glorify God, because honestly, my life, how I grew up, I should not be the person that I am today. I should be a completely different person. And it is only by God alone that I am who I am today. And so let's dive in, and I'm going to start my testimony. So we're going to start clear back at the beginning. When I was a baby, my grandparents brought me in after my mom had me. She was in the Army still, and she had to just deal with that and everything. And so my grandparents brought me in and they raised me, and they really raised me throughout my entire life, off and on. I would spend time with my mom sometimes, but not all the time. And so flash forward a few years, and I'm like 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, and I don't have a dad. I never knew who my dad was. And that's something that just, I felt deeply. All of my friends had a dad, and I was just this girl without a father. And I really wanted a father. Now, my grandpa was absolutely amazing. I miss him so much. He passed away a few years ago. My grandfather was my firm foundation on earth side. And although he was amazing and he tried his best to raise me up to know the Lord, I still wanted a dad. I still wanted to be a daddy's girl. So flash forward to, I think I was about 5 or 6, and my mom meets this guy, and we thought he was a really great guy. He really had us deceived. And they end up getting married, and they have my brother and sister, and things start going downhill. He starts becoming very abusive. He was an alcoholic and just very, very abusive. He was abusive towards my mom, and he was also abusive to me. And so I was sexually abused as a child for many years, and just witnessed a lot of things that I shouldn't have witnessed as a child. I would stand in between my mom and him and try to break up the fight while he was hurting my mom. And, my mom hasn't always made the best choices in life, but that's my mom. And, I love her, and I wanted to protect her. And I didn't want to see her getting beat up by a man. And I didn't want to, be abused either. But also I wanted a dad. And then alcohol would take over, and he was a monster. And So that went on for several years, and I just really wanted to tell someone about what was going on, but I was afraid. Eventually I told, and everything, I feel like, got blown up. Like, I feel like my world was crashing down. Now, my grandparents would take me to church every Sunday, and I would say that I grew up in a Christian home when I was with my grandparents. And I was just so eager to learn. I was so eager to absorb everything that our pastor was preaching. And it was a tiny, tiny church that I grew up in. I am pretty sure for a while there was like 3 or 4 kids my age, but other than that, I was the youngest, and it was okay. Like, I just felt like I had a whole church full of grandparents, and it was good. I didn't care. I didn't go to, kids' church or anything. I was in the sanctuary learning right along my grandparents. And so as soon as I could start writing, I was taking notes and just, absorbing as much as I could, asking questions. And so I feel like throughout the abuse, I was able to rely on the Lord so much. I don't think I even knew it at the time. I feel like I explain it like I just always had peace, like someone was there with me. And it makes me a little emotional right now even talking about it, because someone was there with me. God was there with me, and he was protecting me. And you might say, well, if your God was protecting you, then why did the abuse happen? And I can 110% stand firm and say that I wish it didn't happen, obviously, but I am thankful that I am able to sit here and tell how great my God is. No matter what happened, no matter the abuse, no matter any of that this is part of the world we live in of sin, and God didn't make it happen, but I am going to now take what is bad and use it to glorify His name. And I am grateful that I'm able to do that with something that's so dark and heavy and evil, and to turn that around and not let the enemy win, but say, no, my God saved my life. My God is such a good God still, even with everything that happened. So I am now into middle school age and high school, and like I said, I grew up in a small church, and so there wasn't youth, there wasn't Wednesday night kids or middle school or whatever. We didn't have that. And so my friends were inviting me to their church for their youth group. And so I would go to that occasionally, and in the summers I would go to like the summer camp things, and I just loved it so much to be filled in a room with other kids my age, serving the Lord and learning more about Him. And I didn't go to, I had fun, but I wasn't going just to be like goof off with other kids. I was going because I truly just wanted to learn and to grow in my relationship with the Lord, because I just feel like He was just such a strong foundation, and I didn't even know everything. I didn't comprehend everything. It was my end of sophomore year, and I wasn't in a good relationship, and I wanted to get out of it, but I didn't know how. And I really wanted to go to this thing called CIY, and it was for the week, and my grandparents were like, no, absolutely not, that's too far. It was a different state over, and they were pretty protective over me at this point, and so they were like, no. And I remember begging, like, please, please, please let me go. I have to go. Like, talk to the pastors, like, talk to the families that are going to be there. Like, I will do whatever it takes to be able to go. And finally, they agreed, by the grace of God, seriously, they agreed to let me go. Now, like I mentioned in the beginning of my testimony, I wanted a father so bad, a good earthly father, someone who that just loved me and cherished me, like you see in the movies, or I saw with my friends, and I just wanted that. And every time I thought it was going to happen, it didn't. And like I said, my grandpa was amazing, and he tried to fill that role as best as he could, but he was my grandpa, and I wanted to be a daddy's girl. So we get to this camp, and the whole theme of this whole camp is father to the fatherless. And I about lost it. Like, I didn't think I was gonna cry telling the story. I feel like I've shared my testimony so many times, and I haven't really cried, but I guess I am today. So the theme was father to the fatherless, and I was like, wow, God, like, this is so orchestrated, and I'm so thankful that I'm here. And I feel like that was the moment in my life when I feel like I truly got it. Like, I feel like that was my coming to Jesus story moment in my walk with the Lord, because there's just really no other explanation, to be honest. Like, I don't really believe in coincidences, and here I am, this girl that's been hurt and has lots of trauma and just wants a father. And I wasn't even supposed to be going to this youth camp, but somehow my grandparents let me, and here I am, and they're preaching, and the whole week's theme is father to the fatherless. And at that moment, I knew that I don't need to have an earthly father, because I have a heavenly Father who loves me more than I ever could put into words, who cherishes me and cares for me and loves me so deeply that he would send his son to die for me. And that was just, such a huge part of my story. And really, in that moment, I felt so much relief and I don't know, just love. And I just felt like I was put in a bear hug, and like hugged, like my dad was hugging me, and I was a daddy's girl to our Heavenly Father, our King. I grew up watching Princess Diaries. Don't know if you guys have ever watched that, but I always thought that I was going to somehow be a princess like the Princess Diaries, and my dad was going to be a king somehow, and that one day I was going to get the phone call that, hey, you actually are next in line to be princess or queen, so you need to come and do all these things like the Princess Diaries. But truthfully, like, that happened. Like, I am a daughter to the King, the Most High, and that is huge. Huge. He is everything. He created me, and he knows everything about me. And like I said, he will never fail me. He will never let me down, like even a good earthly father could and does. So we leave that camp, and I'm back, and I end that relationship. Have no fear. I just end it. And like a month, not even, like 3 or 4 months later, I'm reconnected with my now husband. And I was really like, I don't know, like, I don't really want to get into a relationship. Like, I don't know. And we talked for hours, and we talked about just anything and everything, things that teenagers shouldn't even know to talk about. And we both were just so mature at such a young age because we both had to just grow up so quickly. Both of our lives were rough, and obviously that makes you grow up quickly. And I knew, like, a few days in, like, I'm gonna marry this man, because I did not feel afraid with him. I felt so safe, so heard and loved. And so maybe soon I will share our story and the testimony in that, because there's a whole another testimony in our story and how we met. But that is my story. And like I said, I can sit here and 100% say that we have an amazing God. And I'm thankful of the traumatic things that I went through, because I am now able to help other women and other girls who might have gone through something similar and feel hopeless and feel like there's no point of living, and to feel like no one loves them or no one cares for them. And I just want to remind them and tell them that that is not true. And I've had experiences like that throughout the healing process of this all as a teenager, where I didn't want to be alive anymore. I just felt gross and hopeless, and like no one would love me or care for me. We have an amazing God. We have a Father who loves us so much, and we can go to Him with all of our problems, and He will listen, and He's not going to let us down, because He loves us so much. And I'm just so grateful that He carried me throughout those whole years. And I'm grateful that I was immersed in church, and that I was open and willing to listen. Yeah, thank you guys for listening to my testimony. It means a lot. Give it a like or comment below. Share your testimonies in the comments. I would love to read your testimonies. I am just all about hearing everyone's story. Everybody's story matters, and it's important to share, even if it feels embarrassing, because it's not always about us. It's about glorifying the Lord and showing people how great He is, because honestly, my life should not be how it is right now. I should be a drug addict or a prostitute or so many different things. Statistically, my life should not be how it is right now, but only by the grace of God.